to my channel. Sorry, I'm just gonna turn up the volume a little bit. Today we're gonna be looking at the 2022 gubernatorial elections. Why did I do that? Majority of governors are up for re-election, obviously, as you can see. In 2021, there's Virginia and New Jersey that are up for re-election. And quick note, this election as if Virginia and New Jersey do go blue. Okay, I just wanted to put that out there so it's obvious. Okay, so I'm gonna begin. Oh, why did I do that? Okay, sorry. So I'm gonna fill in the safe states that will definitely go to the Democrats. There's really no question about it. Illinois. I'm gonna do Oregon as well. I don't think I'm missing any. I'm going to do the. No, okay. And then I'm also going to do Republican states because there are quite a few of these. Okay. So this is what okay. So this is the kind of like basis of like states that will not be solid that I think will be likely or less. So I'm gonna start off with likely Democratic states. New Mexico. It's Lou Grisham, and she's liked nationally, which means she'll be able to get funding, contributions, things like that. I think she'll do pretty decently. In Connecticut, this is surprising because it's Ned Lamont, and yes, it's a safe Democratic state. Where's the PVI is right here. It's Democrat +6, which is really not, which is a solid, that's close to a solid margin, but for some reason, in Democrats, when they're running in the gubernatorial elections in Connecticut, they usually seem to have a lot of difficulty being able to, win. So that's why I'm putting it under the likely column, just because I do think that Ned Lamont will have a little bit of trouble winning that race. I'm also thinking Colorado is going to be a likely state. Here, I'm gonna have to. This is gonna take a little bit. Oh my gosh, where is it? They don't even have it. Wait, is it not for the election? Yeah, they are. Whatever. So I do think, yeah, here we go. Jared Polis. Sorry for taking so long. Let's go to 2018. He won by a 11-point margin in 2018. Yes, it was a Democratic wave year, but I still think he'll be able to pull that same feat off just because it's Colorado. It's basically a new solid Democratic state. So yeah. Okay, next I'm gonna do likely Republican states. So I'm not doing New Hampshire. Well, actually, I'll do New Hampshire. So this depends because Chris Sununu, he's thinking about running for Senate, and if he does, that Senate seat could go red, which Republicans would really like. It would help them, win back their Senate majority possibly. So in this map, I'm just gonna say he is. He's not gonna run for re-election, and he's gonna run for Senate, which means there will be no Republican incumbent, which throws the race into a more battleground state. So that's why it's not likely, just because I don't think Chris Sununu will run. I think he will run for the Senate. Okay. So now we have that out of the way. I want to go into the lean states. Wait. Yeah, sorry. I just remember. I thought for some reason Nevada was Lou Grisham. So I think Nevada will be a lean state. Let's go find Nevada. Nevada. Here we go. So although 2018, I do remember this was very close. Yeah, for Nevada, this is actually not that big of a vote, but this was a pretty close race. I think he'll be able to pull it off. He did pretty decently with COVID, and he'll oversee the recovery. So that, for all incumbents, is a big plus, just because it does mean that they'll be able to, use COVID and the recovery as a thing to give them a reason to be reelected. I think the next lean state is Maryland. While yes, this is Larry Hogan's seat, he is term limited as you can see here. Ooh, I didn't do DC. Whatever. He is term limited, and so Maryland is such a blue state that that I think whoever runs will win. Whatever Democrat will win. So my next state is Michigan. Gretchen Whitmer is super popular in that state. I do know that. Not super, but pretty popular. In 2018, she won by 10 points. In a state that had previously been a Republican, that's a massive shift to the left. And so I do think she will win with a lean margin just because of how liked and popular she is across the state. And also Minnesota, I also believe will be sorry, where is Minnesota? It's right here. Will be a lean margin. He also won with 10 points, funny enough, a very similar margin, but Minnesota 2020, they pulled through. It was like an 8-point margin for Biden, but I still think he'll have a little bit more tough time just because of everything that's going on there. So now we're in the lean categorizations. I'm going to start off with Republican leans. I think Texas is a Republican lean state. While yes, it's pretty solid. One, it's starting to shift towards the left. And also with this very recent, this big snowstorm that basically just devastated the state. He handled it terribly. He really did. It was embarrassing. He made a lot of mistakes in the past, and I think it'll narrow down. I do not think the Democrats will win the state or the governorship. Jeez, I can't talk today. Sorry. But I do think that it will be narrow. Next state is what was it? Florida. So DeSantis is decently popular, even though he's handled COVID terribly, and I think that'll botch his economic recovery. I do think that will be how the Democrats narrow the race up by talking about all the deaths, his incorrect handling of the pandemic, and even in 2018, it was a really narrow race. So I think he'll have a tough time with winning that race. Democrats will just funnel massive amounts of money into that. It's going to be insane to see. So yeah. Sorry, I think my cat's meowing a lot. My next, I think Massachusetts will go. I was thinking about putting in the tilt, but I do think Charlie Baker will pull it off. He won in 2018, which by 33 points in 2018. Like, that's a massive victory. So I do think he'll be able to win, even though he handled COVID terribly. The economy has just collapsed. He's very unpopular. I still think he will win, narrowly. All right. So Democratic tilt states. I think Arizona is a Democratic tilt state. We saw this year in man, where is it? Here we go. We saw that even in 2018 he did win comfortably, but he's not running again. And so I think that will definitely be hard for Republicans. They've censured all these important people who know how to win races there, and that's gonna bite them in the behinds because those Republicans know how to win states, and I think they needed those people more than whoever. Like, basically what I'm saying is that Republicans did themselves in that state. I do think whoever the Democratic nominee will win that race, and I think it'll be important because it means all branches of the government, except for state legislature, will be Democratic, and I think that's a pretty big swing for that state. Next state that I'm doing till is Pennsylvania. Yes, Tim Wolf is indeed term limited. Tim Wolf, whatever. He won in the state by 17 points. 2014, a Republican wave year, a big one. We remember this one. He still won by 10 points. So I think it's going to be very hard for Republicans to be able to pick that state up just because of how do I put this? Even in Republican wave years, Democrats have done well. And so, yes, it's still a tilt margin, but it's a tilt margin, and it means the Democrats will win that state. Georgia, I do think, also will become. I think Democrats will be able to pull something off here, just because one, Brian Kemp is just a terrible candidate. He's not very good. He's not very strong. Democrats can put someone up like Stacey Abrams, who would win in a heartbeat. So like, there's what I'm trying to say is that Democrats or Republicans really have to think about if they want to renominate him, just because of how spotty his record has been. Next is Laura Kelly in. Yeah, I think her name's Laura Kelly. I'm so sorry if I mispronounce her name. Laura Kelly. Even though this is Chris Kobach, even though there was an independent who took a pretty large margin away, she's semi-popular, if I'm correct. Here, let's look at 2022. So, we know she's rerunning. There's no one else who would. If Chris Kobach wins again, then I'm positive she'll win. He's such a weak candidate. He lost last time. I really just don't think there's any way for him to win, just because of how unpopular he is. So yeah, this is gonna be a while. Okay. Next up is, I'm gonna put Republican tilt, like very tilt. New Hampshire, whoever it is, I think will be able to pull it off. It'll be very narrow, but I do think it'll happen. Maine, I'm also gonna put in the tilt state. Maine is an interesting case, just because 2018, the candidate won by 7, Janet Mills, but it's still not the most solid state for the Democrats. It's still kind of like iffy. So we see that she'll most likely run for re-election. It's going to be a similar matchup. So we'll have to see how that goes. I do think it'll be tilt eventually, though. And the last state is Wisconsin. I could see, this is the only state on the map that I think I could really see going to the Republicans, just because in 2020 it was the closest state. So it was the closest, like, Republican. It was out of the Rust Belt. It was the closest. So I think there is definitely a possibility there that Democrats or Republicans will be able to win that state. Okay. So now with all those, filled in, I'm going to fill in the entire map, and we will see who is now controlling the. Why am I that? So here we go. Let's go. I'm just filling these solid in because they're solid. They've been won by the Democrats or Republican. So if this holds true, Democrats will win the Governor's Association. I'm just gonna solidify everything. Oh man. It'll be a narrow margin, but they'll still win. So I don't think they've actually won for a while, if I'm not mistaken. Which is kind of interesting, just because, like, they won the trifecta this year and they weren't able to win the association. Whatever. Oh man. Why is this so difficult? Okay, here we go. Finalized map. Why am I... Okay, there we go. Finalized map. Jeez, that took way too long. So this is what I do think will happen. The only states that I think the Democrats could pick up are, besides the ones that I've already filled in, are New Hampshire and Massachusetts, just because in New Hampshire, like I said, there is no Republican incumbent, and in Massachusetts, Charlie Baker is so unpopular that I think he's gonna definitely have an uphill battle, put it that way. And the two states I really could see Republicans winning are Wisconsin and Kansas. Those two, to me, are the most likely. All right, so that's all that I have for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna try to publish like a posting schedule soon, just because I need to do that. So yeah, I've enjoyed this episode. Thank you for watching, and bye.